Every time I think of this story that I'm going to tell you right now, I think of my mother who read that she was a New Yorker and she read the New York Daily News every day, like a Bible, beginning to end. And we got it on Sunday too. I don't know if it came out on Saturday. I don't remember. But she read, and she's the one who told me this story the first time. That you got this guy and he took from the church, Johnny, and they strangled him with rosary beads. And that was a story. A lot of people heard that story that the guy who stole these things from the church was strangled with rosaries. I don't think he was. I think he just shot him in the head, and that was that. But the theft in question was called the Brooklyn Miracle. It's a miracle because it was two crowns filled with precious stones, and they were stolen from a church, and they were returned. Hence the miracle that they were returned. Not it was an act of God or intervention by the good Lord. It was really Joe Profaci found the guy who took him and killed him and sent the diamonds back. That's actually what happened. The guy who took him was called Ralph Bucky Emmino. He was a member of this loose group of stick-up guys in Brooklyn. In 1947, they were just terrorizing their end of Brooklyn. They were robbing They were doing stick-up games on dice games, card games that would run outside the mob. Independent guys. There was jewelry stores was a specialty. In 1947, they stole 35,000 worth of gold bullion and platinum bars from a precious metal shop at 11 John Street in Lower Manhattan. Ralph had Eminio had provided the guns for the robbery, and anyway, it was tracked to him. He was busted in a hotel room with all this, well, the gold bullion, and they brought him to court. But the dealer, the metals dealer, Tom Petrucci, he got there and said he never saw Eminio in his life, and charges were dropped. But what that did, it is established, because it's a big robbery at the time, it established in the minds of the cops that this guy is a thief, a precious metals thief. Anyway, police believed that Imeneo was a close associate of Joe Gioli, who was with the Profaci family, but was a member of the Gallo gang, a sub-gang of the Profacis. And that he was also working under a guy named, the family consigliere, a guy named Calagrio, Charlie the Sige, La Cicero. Uh, Move ahead to the Madonna and Child Shrine, which was part of the parish, St Rosailia Parish in Brooklyn. They kept two crowns there, the shrine being somewhat a different place from the parish. But anyway, the parish owned the shrine. And they kept at the shrine two crowns. They were covered with sapphires, rubies, diamonds. It was created before World War II, and members of the parish, who were working class people, contributed the money for all. So it was a wonderful thing. Anyway, the crowns disappeared from the shrine May 30th, 1952, between 6 o'clock at night and the following morning. What the cops put together quickly was a Ralph Emmino. He knew all about jewels, they knew that, and he lived literally around the corner from the parish, from the place where the diamonds were stolen, and he knew the church well. He knew the diamonds were there. His son went to school there at the church and got his first communion there. For years, Frankie Yale, before the Capone mob wiped him out, had been a generous contributor to St. Rosalia's. He was in charge of fundraising for them. He helped with the groundbreaking ceremony so they could build a school. 6 weeks later, by the way, 1928, he was murdered. After he was murdered, Joe Profaci, some people came to Profaci and said, would you be our patron for the parish, our protector? And he said, sure, he would. And he took part in the autumn 1948 groundbreaking of the shrine where the jewels were kept. And so he looked on that as his realm, right? On the night that Ralph Emmino was murdered, he'd been living with this 23-year-old girl. Bear in mind, he's almost 50 in Brighton Beach. So he gets a phone call, and his wife, Lillian, and his 8-year-old boy lived across town. He was separated from them for a while. He gets a phone call. He tells his girlfriend, I got to go. I got to meet somebody. I can't say who it's with. Later, he's seen in a bar at Bath Beach. He's in a tavern there with a young woman. And just before midnight, some men walked in, three guys. It's a brief conversation with Emmino, and they all leave together, the four of them. On the night the jewels were stolen, a worker at the church reported seeing a green Pontiac convertible, same car that Emmino drove, parked right in front of the church just as he was locking the place up. Police got an anonymous call at 4:40, at 45 minutes past midnight, Wednesday, June 4, 1952, saying, there's a dead body laying in the sidewalk here. And they gave me the address. It was between Bath and Benson Avenue, and they showed up. That was a notorious dumping ground for gangland murderers, the dark area. They found Ralph Emmino's body. He'd been shot at very close range 4 times, twice in the head, twice in the chest, professional job. His car, the 1950 green convertible, was found a ways away on High Lawn Avenue. It's a tree-lined residential, or had been a tree-lined residential neighborhood, about a mile from where the body was dumped. They shot him in the car because that's where all the blood was found, and then they dumped him. Police thought, well, Emmino was, all the brothers were known as awful gamblers, and this is probably him not paying his debts. But scuttlebutt on the street, which the police picked up on very quickly, was that no, he was murdered for stealing the jewels. The FBI informant Gregory Scarpa Sr., he reported that to the Bureau, that Joe Profaci, when he found out that this place that he was supposed to be the protector of, St. Regina Pacus, the parish, he was livid, and he ordered A, that Emmino be murdered, and B, that crowns be returned. Charles La Cicero, who was the infant Charles Sedge, who Emmino ran numbers for, was probably the murderer in this thing. According to Scarpa, oh, and by the way, Scarpa probably later on killed La Cicero, even though La Cicero had been his mentor. La Cicero was sitting in the Carlisle luncheonette in Borough Park on April 18, 1968. And supposedly Scarpa walked up and shot him in the back of the head. Who knows why? So the jewels are returned. These 2 crowns are returned June 8, 1952 by mail, Sunday delivery, special delivery mail. The package had $3 worth of 25-cent stamps on it. The return address was 400 Broome Street, Manhattan, which is the address for the police annex. A number of gems were missing, stones were missing. The crowds were pretty beat up, but anyway, Profaci paid to have that repaired, and they went back on display. In the meantime, Joey Gallo and his brothers, they're livid. According to their version, was Emmino went to his captain, whoever that was. He said, "Look, I'm going to go steal these jewels." Captain says, "Fine, go ahead, have a good time." And then he was ordered to return the jewels, which he did. And just based on that, in fact, it was okay in the first place. And secondly, he did what he's told, brought him back. He should have got a pass, but he didn't. And they murdered him. And for the gallows, this is just one more sign that Profaci was way out of control, and they needed a break away from the family. They would go to war with him shortly afterward.